Hi, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about phones. So I did a video recently on how I thought Samsung was completely destroying the design of their phones with the S6. I talked about how the S5 was liquid proof, the S6 is not. The S5 has a user replaceable battery, so if your battery dies you can just pop a new one in. The S6 does not. The S5 has a micro SD card slot so that I can transfer data to it. I can expand the memory of the phone as I please. I can carry multiple SD cards on me if I want to, and with the S6 I cannot. And a lot of people say that Apple, that Samsung is copying the design of Apple, and I've always kind of disagreed with that whole thing. But when you look at the S6, they really are copying Apple. They're sealing the battery in to screw the user. They are not allowing you to put an SD card in to expand the storage of the phone, and they're removing the liquid proofing that made the S5 as durable as it was. I mean, if that is not copying Apple, I don't know what is. Because again, you could go running, you could go for a jog with an iPhone 5S in your pocket, and the sweat that gets into your pocket can actually kill the phone. Like, Samsung is following in the footsteps of the things that Apple was doing wrong, and that just kills me. So a lot of people have said, well, the S7 fixes a lot of these issues, so will you get an S7? And I want to talk about why it is I'm just kind of done with Samsung in general. So I switched over to using a Samsung phone around 2010. I had a BlackBerry Storm, which was a complete pile of shit. I got it for a very, very low price. I had a BlackBerry 8330 before that. Great phone. The history of with me with phones is that in 2007, I was looking for a smartphone. I looked into getting an iPhone because a lot of people spoke highly of it. I needed to be able to copy and paste tracking numbers. I saw that back then, I know a lot of people are going to troll, especially in that Apple products why I don't use them video. In 2007, when I was looking for a smartphone, the iPhone could not copy and paste, and it was stuck on the AT&T network. So I just kind of laughed my way out of the store. I got a BlackBerry. Not exactly the best for a lot of different things, but I could copy and paste, and the message section was very nice. The Storm was a complete pile of shit. That phone took 6 minutes to boot. It had the worst lagging touch response. Everything about the BlackBerry Storm was just a steaming pile of shit. It froze all the time. It was buggy. The click screen, it was just, God. That phone was probably one of the worst things ever manufactured. So I got an HTC Incredible. An amazing, amazing phone. Unfortunately, the way I treat phones, the thing managed to die in 6 months. I kept dropping it, it destroyed it. But I liked Android. I didn't like the way the HTC Incredible 8 batteries, but I liked Android. I liked having a phone that was actually fast, that I could do everything I wanted with. And I eventually got a Samsung Galaxy S 4G at the end of 2010, and I fell in love. It did everything that the fast Android phone did. The battery life was better than the HTC Incredible, and above all, the screen on this device was beautiful. I loved the screen on the Samsung Galaxy S 4G at the time, because back then you have to think about this. I was doing a lot of traveling. I didn't have an office, so I spent a lot of time on the train. So I wanted to be able to watch TV on the train. I thought that would be a great way to pass the time rather than just fall asleep or stare at other people. So I liked the Samsung phone for that, and I just stuck with them over time. And what I noticed over time is that the phone gets slightly slower, and even from the beginning, they just kind of lag in a manner that phones that run stock Android don't lag. And I just wanted to demonstrate that with this. So this is a Moto, I don't even know which model Motorola phone this is. This is the Moto 3G, Moto Cheap, whatever the cheapest Motorola Android phone that you can buy in Best Buy is. This is probably what this is. I should take off the cover so I can actually read it. This is a fucking tech channel now, I guess, with 50,000 subscribers. I have to pretend to give a shit. Model XT1540. Whatever the model XT1540. But for those of you that don't follow phones, this is a cheap piece of shit that costs less than half of what the Samsung retailed for when it was new. This is the Samsung S5. This is the quad-core version, and I just want to give you a really quick demonstration of how these two work in front of the camera, because this is the stuff that really kills me. So I'm going to unlock my Motorola phone, and let me just turn off face focus here, because this is going to fuck things up. Okay, so let's say I got my Motorola phone. Now look, I want to change my applications, right? I click this little button at the bottom. I'm wearing gloves. I click the button, and it's instant. I can see everything that's on. I can see everything there, and I hit home. I hit the button, it's instant. Hit the button, it's instant. Hit the button, it's instant. There's no lag whatsoever. Now let's go over to the Samsung S5, the phone that costs literally twice as much as that fucking phone. Now we get over to the Samsung here and hit the button. Wait. Home. Wait. Button. Wait. Home. Wait. Button. Wait. But when you hit home, that's when you really notice there's a little bit of lag there. This phone over here, well, the screen is not as bright, so let me just put up the screen brightness on this one. Home. Bam. 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 Just instant. This is instant. This here has a tiny bit of lag. And the reason this is really sad is because this phone doesn't get used for shit. Since I got the other phone, this thing literally sits in a drawer in my apartment. Button, wait. Home, wait. Button, wait. There's no wait here. There's no time for me to say the word wait. I hit this little thing over here. There's no wait. It pops up instantly. Look at this. Bam. Now, I know that that's a very small difference. I know it's a very minor difference, but the thing is, you have to keep in mind that I have not been using the Samsung phone for months. I haven't been using that thing for months now, and it's still slower than my Motorola phone. My Motorola phone has so much shit open on it. I use that thing constantly. I never close the apps. I'm a terrible mobile phone user, and it's still snappier and more responsive than the Samsung. The Motorola phone is like a calculator compared to the processor in the Samsung. And it's just something that kills me that the Samsung device that has so much more processing power, that's so much more expensive, even when it's unused and sitting in a kitchen drawer for 2 months and just charged up for the first time and turned on, is actually slower than the phone that is not that is connecting to a mobile network that has a bunch of shit open that's actively being used. It just kills me. And it's because Samsung fucks the device with a crappy version of their operating system. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, you could just get a new ROM. What kind of noob are you that you don't even want to try a new ROM or try all these other things to make it faster? And here's what I'll say. If you told me that I could make a $250 phone perform like a $600 phone, I just had to put a little bit of work in, I'd see your point. But when you're telling me, Lewis, if you do all this work, you can make the $600 phone perform just as well as the $250 phone, that just doesn't make sense to me, you know? Again, if I could make that cheap, shitty Motorola phone work as amazing as an expensive phone if I just put half an hour of research and time in, fine. But I don't feel like putting that time in to make a $600 phone match the performance of the $250 phone. And what I found over the past few months of using that phone is that there were times with the Samsung where I would actually be discouraged to move around or to try to dig through and find something if I was in the middle of a conversation or just go through an app to do something I wanted, because I knew that every step of the way I was going to face that tiny little bit of lag, and it really does kind of psychologically affect how you use the device. And I find that I don't have that with the Motorola because everything is just instant. It just goes to what I want. And that Motorola costs less than half what the Samsung does. And I honestly, I know what you're saying. I know what you're going to say. You should just do some research to change the ROM. But again, like, I sit here under a microscope running little wires under chips all day. Do you think that what I want to do on my spare time is figure out how to make a more expensive device work as well as a cheap device? No. I'm at a point in my life where when I buy technology, I want to take it out of the box and use it without fucking with it. Like, the point of my life where I enjoyed fucking with this stuff is over. And it's not, and this is durable too. I've dropped this many times. This phone is liquid proof. I mean, I've been washing my dishes and this thing falls in there and it works. It still works. This thing is an excellent device. It's very durable. Again, I got this thing because it had a great screen, it was liquid proof, and it was quick, and it had good battery. This has good battery, this is liquid proof, this is much quicker than this thing, and this costs more money. The only thing I'll have to say is that the screen on the cheap-ass Motorola does not match the Samsung one at all. It doesn't. The screen on the Samsung kicks the shit out of this one, which I would expect it to because it costs twice as much fucking money. The thing is, the reason I don't care is because I used to take the train everywhere, now I have an office, and when I leave at the end of the day, I actually run home, so I don't have time to watch TV. I put music on, and I run from here to my apartment, and I don't look at it. But I'm sure that if I went up to the higher-end Motorola phones, that the screens would probably be better. I don't know if it's going to be as good as the Samsung. I can't speak to that because I haven't seen it. But yeah, ultimately, Samsung lag is just, it's not something I want. I want to buy a device that out of the box has a good operating system, not somebody's skull-fucked, bastardized version of what they think Android should be with all this bullshit. And, you know, there was this other thing on this phone that used to kill me. I mean, if I used to swipe I don't know which way I would swipe it. It would bring up some Samsung screen with some like, menus and all sorts of other shit. And it's like, how did I even get into this? Why are you even offering me this? I don't want any of this crap. And it would just show up on the phone. It's like, this is not a subsidized device. It's not like I decided I want to pay $0 for a phone advertised to me or offer me shit I didn't want, It's a device that costs $600 fucking. So, give me the operating system that I paid for and stop fucking it up with your bullshit, is all I'll have to say. So when Samsung decides that they will release a phone that has the stock version of Android without anybody fucking with it, I will check out Samsung again. But here's the thing here's the thing with technology that people have to remember. I now realize that I can get by with a $250 phone. This thing is liquid proof to the point where I can be my usual self and get away with it. This is durable enough that I can drop it like I do on my regular basis and get away with it. And it's also really, it just does everything that I want. So now I know. See, if this thing wasn't getting slow all the time, I probably wouldn't have taken this out of the box. But because this thing got slow, because the $600 device had this bullshit version of Android, it then tempted me to try this $250 phone that Jamie got for me when he visited. And what I realized is that I can get by with a $250 phone. So even if Samsung fixes this, even if Samsung releases a phone with a removable SD card and a user removable battery that's liquid proof, even if it has a stock version of Android, am I going to be willing to spend $600 on a phone now that their actions, which caused me to leave them, led me to realize that a $250 phone does everything I want? No, I'm never going to try a $600 phone again, most likely, because I know that a $250 phone will do everything that I want, that it's going to be durable, that it's going to last, and that it's going to run well. So I have no interest in trying a new Samsung. I'm not going to try the S7. And this is the thing that's really important when it comes to any type of consumer electronics. If you give people a reason to leave, don't expect that they're going to come back just because you fixed what you fucked up. Again, this is something that I talk about with the iPhone. The thing that why I don't use Apple products video, a lot of that video is admittedly me trolling by reading my friend's drunken Facebook post and laughing. But one of the things that I had said as to why I didn't use the iPhone is that there was no copy and paste. Now, there is copy and paste. There's been copy and paste for a long time on an iPhone. I'm very fucking aware of that, trust me. But they did not have copy and paste at a time when other vendors did have copy and paste, and I needed that function. Because I needed that function, I tried somebody else. Since I tried somebody else, even if you give me copy and paste a year later, do you think that means that I'm going to throw away the BlackBerry that I have? Do you think that means that I'm going to throw away the app structure and the way I have my icons and the way I set up all my accounts? Do you think I want to throw all that out just to try you now? No. I'm going to stick with what I'm using, with what works, because it works, until I'm given a reason to change. When BlackBerry released the Storm, they gave me a great reason to never use a BlackBerry again. And even though they may have changed things out and made it better, I don't care anymore because I'm now settled and I've moved on to somebody else. It's kind of like when you're going out with that person in high school that you thought you'd be with the rest of your life. You loved them, you cared about them, and they cheat on you. And then years later, you get married to somebody else. If that person comes back to you and says, Louis, I'm sorry that I cheated on you. What, I'm supposed to divorce my wife now and go out and tell my kids they don't have a dad so I can just start going out with you? No. It doesn't make sense. This is why I'm sticking with this. So for all of you people who are asking, am I going to try the S7? What do I think of the S7? I don't care. Unless the S7 costs $200 and runs stock Android, I have no reason to even look at it. I'm a very happy user of this Moto cheap whatever. Works.